Hello everyone, welcome to Youth Work Practice. This is week 6, and today I'm just going to make a little video for you to understand about the assessment processes that will occur for you on this course. Assessment 2, A, B and C will follow in a certain way, so I thought we'd walk through the assessment materials so that you're clear about that, so we can discuss your roles in that. I won't be doing a lot more than reading through the assignment, but hopefully by listening to this you might be able to understand some questions that you need to raise or be reminded to prepare yourself in certain ways. So before we begin, I'm going to share my video. I'll just stop there and share the screen. So here we are in week 6 assessment task 2, during week 6. Part C is during week 10. The assessment has 3 parts. There's part A, which is a simulated client conference. Part B, which is a discussion, a group discussion. And part C, which is the paperwork presentation that you're required to produce after you've taken part in the simulated assessment case conference process. Sorry, it's not an assessment, it is a case conference. So you'll be given, just to briefly outline, you'll be given a case study client, and the case study client will read through their circumstances, and at the end of the read through we'll just have a quick chat about some immediately obvious elements about the case study so that you have an understanding of what's going on. So using Maria as the case study, you'll participate in the simulated case conference where you'll take part in a number of different roles. And after that, you will take part in a discussion where you will feed back in a group about how you felt and about understanding some of the emotions that can be generated in these processes, as well as trying to work out, things that you wanted to know and things you didn't know and things that would be helpful in order to improve your practice in working with younger people in case conference scenarios and working with your colleagues, fellow employees, or maybe of different organizations, in terms of being able to work out and understanding how you communicate your roles. Okay, so let's have a read through of our case conference. Okay, so by the way, the part C documentation is an assessment report, which is not very long, and a case management plan, which needs to pick up on some of the issues that we're identifying with the client Maria, and a service referral document where you identify a local regional service in your area. This is a real service, not a fake service, and that you contact them, look online, get their details, and then you create a referral form, and you add these 3 documents in week 10 to the assignment forum, because they will be where you present, that will be where you hand in your assessments. Okay, case study scenario, Maria de Angelis. Maria de Angelis is 16 years old and has only just migrated to Australia from Italy. Maria speaks limited English. She approaches a youth health centre and asks to speak with the case manager. The name of the case manager is Trish. Maria fears she may be pregnant and conducts an initial assessment. Trish conducts an initial assessment, during which she discovers that Maria has recently had sex for the first time with a new boyfriend, Brad, who is 19 years old. Brad lives with her brother, Paul, aged 18, and her mother, Francesca. Maria's father died in a car accident when Maria was 14. Maria explains that, Trish explains that Maria is underage. Trish will need to contact her mother. She also explains that she's concerned about Brad's age and the fact that legally he's had sex with a minor, and that is a criminal offence. Finally, Trish states that she's worried that perhaps Maria has not properly processed her father's sudden death, and she tells Maria that she would like to recommend a psychiatric assessment of her mental state to assess whether she is suffering from depression. Maria panics at the thought of such intense intervention. She doesn't want her mother to know, she doesn't want her boyfriend to get into trouble, and she doesn't want to be locked up because someone thinks she's crazy. Maria asks to go to the toilet, she leaves the room and takes her bag and runs away. When Trish realizes that Maria's left, she decides to call Francesca, Maria's mum, who speaks limited English, and inform her of what has happened. Francesca is a traditional Italian woman who takes the news as a shock. Francesca starts to cry and can't seem to stop. Trish tries to calm Francesca and realizes that language is a barrier. Trish asks Francesca to hold the line to organize an interpreter. Maria does not want to see Trish again, but Francesca agrees to come to your office with Maria to allow you to assist him further. After meeting with Maria and identifying her primary needs, you've made several referrals to other community organisations, such as a family planning service, a family support worker, the Department of Community Service and the Department of Housing. 4 weeks later, you are holding a conference meeting with Maria and the other service workers currently involved in supporting Maria. The purpose of this meeting is to further consider the partnerships with other professionals, monitor the support services that have been provided to Maria, and empower her into taking responsibility and working towards a resolution with her family. So there is our case study. In our case study, we will have a number of tasks. Maria De Angelis is a case in point. So we've seen there's been an initial contact, there's been a follow-up, there's been a period of support, and we're now in the simulated case conference. It's all come along in week 6 very quickly, I understand, but we're in it now and we need to deal with it. The simulated conference guidelines are that you will be given 10 to 15 minutes in the simulated role play where you will participate in the capacity as a case manager and a client. Both the case manager and the client you will practice being. Students will need to arrange themselves in groups of 6 to enable all students to have the opportunity to experience the scenario from the perspective of both the client and the case manager. The students will change groups during the task to enable a variety of approaches to be experienced. One member of the group will assume the role of the worker, while other group members will assume roles of the client, family planning worker, housing officer, family and community support officer with the Italian community. A local health worker will also try to arrange some mental health support for Maria. After the simulated case conference, students will, as a group, share their experience of the skills practice session using the discussion questions listed below, and discuss how their role as a case manager in the skills case session scenario could have been improved. Use the case management plan template that follows the case study, Maria, to assist in the meeting process. During the simulated case conference, the following will be observed: client confidentiality rights and responsibilities, case manager and other stakeholders' rights and responsibilities, establishing rapport with the client and other stakeholders, briefly explaining each worker's role in Maria's case planning process, facilitating discussion with Maria, identifying, negotiating client goals, empowering Maria to make her own decisions, facilitating discussion with other workers in relation to services other agencies can provide her with, resolving any conflicts, establishing processes for monitoring and changing the case plans, implementing strategies to continually monitor the effectiveness of the case management process against agreed goals, relevant services and programs, identifying, negotiating and recording outcomes. Okay, then there'll be a class discussion where you'll be debriefed, and in this debriefing you'll be invited to discuss how did you feel about being Maria. When you were being Maria, what case did the case manager, sorry, what did the case manager do that made you feel safe or fearful, confused or equal in the process? How did you feel to be the case manager? What supports did you think a case manager needs in a case conference? What role does a youth service case manager play in relation to Maria? What role does the service play with the mother? And where do the responsibilities by each of these parties lie? Is there a conflict between the client-centered practice and family support? Do you think that your placement agency would be able to support Maria? Is there any additional training or agency staff would need to support Maria better? Is there any additional training you think could be undertaken to better support Maria? So this is our discussion. So we're going to go back through this a little bit now, because just making sure we're not. Actually, let's have a look at this. The marking criteria. So you understand what you're going to need to show here. So during the simulation, the student satisfactorily demonstrates the following. So in your simulation, you have to use established procedures, which means, you know, the 5 C's, the explain your role, explain client confidentiality, make sure the client is comfortable, make sure the client has any needs that they want. So would you like a glass of water? Yes. Make sure they're ready to start. Explain what your role is and what their role is. I'm a case manager and I'm here to provide you with support to address da, da, da. You're here because you're looking for assistance with da, 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 right? And what are the other 5 C's? Confidentiality, that you explain that you have a duty of care to maintain confidentiality, but you know, there are limitations to that. Confidentiality extends only as far as your concerns that the person is not indicating they will harm themselves or another person. There is also a complaints process that needs to be discussed. Explain what the complaints are, explain what the complaint procedure is. If Maria is unhappy with the service, she can at any time be able to address that complaint in a certain way by talking to the manager of the service, for example. And there's another final C, which is something I forgot. Can't remember what that one is. Clarification, we've done that. Okay, doesn't matter. But as long as you've done at least 4, they might be down here actually. Rights and responsibilities, roles that you've. So we've got here. So we've just discussed all of what these are. That the client's needs are addressed. So you will need to talk to Maria and say, how is it? What support are you looking for? Why do you need that support? Try and get stories around why Maria is in the situation she is. Was she not spoken to her parents? Why are her parents not supporting her? Is there a language barrier? Or do we need to get interpreting services around? So this is the engagement and building rapport. So when you say engagement, you know, you've got to demonstrate some skills in terms of some micro communication skills, which are talking to Maria, offering Maria support and information, engaging with Maria to build rapport using the micro communication skills that we can talk about online if you're not clear about that. And I'm aware that not many people have been online to talk. So then there's the effective questioning and listening skills demonstrated in your ability to sit down and talk to Maria. So that's really, you're looking at the acronym SOLAR there, which is that you are present in the room, you're making eye contact, you're sitting face onto the person, you're listening to them, you're making acknowledgements that what they're saying is being listened to, you're not interrupting them, you're allowing them to move on, and that you are investigating proper things. That when Maria tells you something, you know, I have a boyfriend, I might be pregnant, wait a minute, what boyfriend? How old is the boyfriend? Who is the boyfriend? What does the boyfriend do? How long have you been going out with the boyfriend? When did you first have sex with the boyfriend? Where's the boyfriend now? all that sort of thing. You follow threads too. Where's your mother? Why is your mother not there? Where's your mother in all this? Have you spoken to your mother about things? Are you going to school? Why are you not going to school? Are you getting an income? Ask all these questions and try and get a full picture of the client's situation. Now, you will be aware that this is not a real thing. And you don't have to be a qualified actor to do this. And when you're playing the role of Maria, just stick to the case study information that you've got there. You can also make a point of ensuring that Maria, so you'll say to Maria, what do you want to do about this situation? Do you want to talk to somebody about this problem that you're pregnant? Do you need to get some counseling? How would you like me to talk to your parents about this? Or would you like me to talk to your parents about this? I beg your pardon. Do you need some support to raise this problem with your mother? And how would you like me to involve myself in this to assist you in doing what you need to do? So that kind of explains what your role is, how you would approach that, making sure that the client feels empowered to make decisions. So the client might say, I don't want you involved, or something like that. And that then you engage in discussion with other workers where you advocate on behalf of Maria, because you're Maria's support worker. All these other agencies will have different interests, like the housing agency. Oh, Maria, can you take care of yourself? Why would we give you a property if you're not capable of taking care of yourself? You'll just ruin the property, etc., etc. So you need to advocate on behalf of how you will work with Maria, with other organizations, to ensure that services and supports remain in place for Maria while she gets her stuff together and is able to move on in life. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning now. As I want to go through here a little bit, or we've gone a little bit too far there. I'm going to come back into the case study again. I want to start looking specifically at the case study with Maria, because it's a little curly one. So it starts out saying Maria's Italian, so she's possibly going to need an interpreter service. We're getting there in a minute. Here we go. So we're going to go through the case study first. So Maria's 16. She's just migrated to Australia from Italy. She's probably got some poor English skills. You probably want to make sure there's an interpreter around, and that you communicate that to her and to other workers, that her ESL skills are, English as a second language skills, are not great. Now, you're kind of taking the role of Trish. So Trish has possibly gone in a bit boots and all here. Maria fears she may be pregnant. That doesn't mean she's definitely pregnant, but what she's indicating is she has, in her own opinion, had sex. It says she's 16. I'm not sure why she's underage, because the age of consent is 16. So maybe it's a recent thing, but not really clear that her boyfriend is 19. That's not a real big issue. Both seem to be of an age of consent. So I don't believe that mandatory reporting is required unless Maria got pregnant before she was 16. If she just turned 16 yesterday, then she's officially had sex before that if she fears she's pregnant. So there's some issues there. Maria has lost her father 2 years earlier. She's only 16. 2 years is a very short amount of time. Potentially there's some grief and loss issues that need to be addressed. You might need some counselling to address that. Trish explains that Maria is underage. I don't know if that's really the case. And if that is the case, you know, her mother might be wanting to press charges about that, but because she's just turned 16, it could be borderline. unless the relationship was started a very long time ago, when, for example, Trish was nearer 15, nearer 14 than 15. But seeing as they're both of an age now, not really sure she's consenting. By the sounds of it, she's not complained that she's been coerced. So you might want to talk to her about how she feels about that relationship, be absolutely clear that Trish is consenting in that relationship. Otherwise, I don't know, there's a lot you can do there. So Maria might be suffering from some issues of mental health, so she might need some counselling. Again, with the grief and loss, and again with the fears of being a young underage teenage pregnancy, risk. All of these indicate she's going to need some counselling services. Somebody's recommending a psychiatric assessment, but that you might need to help Maria understand why that is just something to help her cope, that she might be able to get a referral to talk to somebody to help her work through her problems, and word it like that rather than you will be getting shock therapy and a medication regime that will seriously inhibit your life. So you're not going to try and talk about those sorts of things. So we're trying to engage, and Maria's obviously very skittish because she runs away in that first thing. Trish has then gone and followed through with Francesca's mum, which is the right thing to do, not necessarily in the right way though, because Maria's mother doesn't speak great English, and she just told her that her daughter's pregnant, maybe, which is maybe not the case. And as Maria is officially 16, and she has a right to confidentiality, and at the age of 16, that doesn't mean that Trish should be telling her mother some private things like her daughter might be 16, might be pregnant. And, we don't know, her mother might be, because she's from Italy and they have some traditional culture, she might be extremely, think about that, if it was a Pakistani, for example, there are things that exist in Pakistan called honor killings, those sorts of things. So actually breaking that confidence could have massive ramifications for people from different cultural backgrounds and for people from different emotional states in Australia. So got to be very careful about how that goes on. I think Trish is not, I think she's jumped the gun a little bit here, but okay, we're sticking with the case study, so we're not 100% clear that underage inappropriate relationship has occurred, and that now Maria is not underage at the age of 16. She's officially able to make decisions, go and see doctors on her own, and not have to have her parents sign off on everything. Okay, so there have been several referrals to community organisation after Trish and Francesca have re-engaged with you, but potentially the relationship between Maria, Trish and Francesca is not a good one because of the kind of problem communications that went on. Okay, so you're going to get involved with family planning service, family support worker. We're still not clear that Maria is 100% pregnant, but she'll probably need testing. So there's probably that's why the family planning service are involved, and maybe a doctor to get a pregnancy kit. DHS, we're not really clear what the housing situation is there, but let's claim that they're kind of overcrowded. And there's sort of an indication, if Maria was 15, that would be a much clearer circumstance. And 4 weeks later, we're having a case conference where we've got all these people together. What we want to try and do, I think, is work towards getting independent housing for Maria and her mother, as well as family support worker to link Francesca into ESL skills training. The mother needs some English skills. she's getting an income, what income she's getting, how can she be supported to take on work. Even if it's very basic work like being a cleaner, that could be something that could be a rewarding thing for Francesca if she's sitting at home socially isolated. You could link her in with some culturally appropriate support agencies like the Migrant Resource Centre, for example, or an Italian based cultural community organisation. And they might have access to lots of different resources that Francesca could take advantage of, including a social network. And then we're going to look at Maria's situation. She is pregnant. I think we're going to assume that she is pregnant here. After 4 weeks, we're going to recognise that the pregnancy has occurred, and that we are going to assist Maria to make some choices around what is she going to do with a young baby. We're not going to influence Maria at all about what those choices would be. Does she want to keep the baby? Does she want to foster the baby? Does she want to seek an abortion? Based on her circumstances, we don't know how far along the pregnancy is, that sort of thing. But we need to allow her to make some decisions. And again, if she's going to do something like any of those things, she'll probably want some counselling to be able to talk her way through and consider the ramifications of all the choices that she makes, because all of those choices will have ramifications. And then we're going to have, so let's have a quick chat about the simulated case conference. 10 to 15 minutes per person per simulated role. Each student will be required to take on the role of a case manager. So you'll probably be buddying up and then swap roles so you can get through the whole thing in half an hour. And you will not be required to act. There's no acting required, just as I'm saying, just kind of go through the motions of asking Maria, is there anything I can help you with, Maria? Would you like to make a decision about that, Maria? You need to make that decision for yourself. How can I best support you to make that decision? And Maria says, well, thanks very much, but I think I'm going to go my own way on this, and I'd like to do that. And so you're not putting on silly voices or playing dress up. We're just participating in the role play and trying to understand the perspective that Maria might be facing if she is going through that scenario. Okay, so then students will change groups during the task and enable a variety of approaches. So you might be able to see how that works, where different people are coming up with different outcomes, and it's worthwhile seeing how that same scenario can play out in different people's interpretations, and then trying to understand what you can learn from that, because you build skills over time, and you definitely do build skills in terms of talking to people, in terms of understanding people's needs, in terms of seeing how different people see the same thing, and how just the simple thing of what are the ramifications for Maria keeping the baby, fostering the baby, or aborting the baby. Just you have different people explain that, you will probably find a whole different range of explanations of things you hadn't thought of. And you go, well, that's kind of communicated better than the way I did it. That sort of thing. So that's why there's a value in this learning process. And then you're going to be taking the part of different workers. So you might be required to be a part of a local health worker and say to Maria, well, we think you need to go and get an assessment for mental health, and you need to make sure that, some prenatal care is completed, and et cetera, whatever is appropriate. As well as things like the caseworker might be doing things like, where are your friends? Do you ever go and see friends? Are you taking part in education? Do you need to finish education? Are you employed? Do you have employment prospects? How can I help you get employment prospects? What are your social outlets? Where's your income at the age of 16? Does she have an income? Is it an independent or linked to her mother? All this sort of thing. So there's a whole range of things that you need to confirm with the client. and then we're going to sit down and do the debrief. Now, I think I've been speaking for about half an hour on this, and I'm pretty sure I've covered a wide range of things. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to end the video, and I'm going to say thanks very much. If you've got any specific questions after watching this video, by all means, send me an email and we'll see what we can do about addressing your questions specifically. Otherwise, good luck with the workshop. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a bit challenging, but I don't think you're going to be failing for not understanding some process. So we've had a look at the assessment document. You saw that assessment document. It just talks about participating in that case management conference. Okay. So good luck with that. We'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.